Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Piglet here once again. No Mickey Mouse here. We are back for the Maxi Toys. And welcome to you guys some of the extra video of Super Smash Bros. Melee Let's Play of how this game actually offers. So as you guys, you can probably tell that we're going to be showcase off the some of the missing stuff we haven't shown throughout this Let's Play. Like, for instance, there's actually the main multiplayer mode, which was called Melee, and basically this allows you to actually pick as many characters you want, and pick up, there's only one stage to fight in, and that's about it. So think of like how it does in the old days from Super Mario, no, not Super Mario, Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 64, but even then though, that you can actually play as like up to, again, 26 playable characters, because again, she also counts as a separate character, but as a part of the cooperate character slot. So even then though, that yeah. So as we mentioned earlier, that this game has a ton of stages to choose this time around. You know how the original game only contains like only 9 stages, but this game only has like, I'm presuming there are a grand total of 25 different levels, which I'm presuming that what this is. I'm pretty sure that's what this is going, or possibly more than that. But even then though, that is a bit of a massive improvement over the ones in the original game. But even then though, in addition to these newer stages to actually explore, there's also Battlefield, Final Destination. They are now playable this time around. In addition to those types of stages, there are some retro stages, this was before when Super Smash Bros. Brawl came around, when they're actually going to introduce Melee stages returns. And also Super Smash Bros. 4, they're actually going to be bringing back some of the older stages from the some of the future installments. We'll get into that in the entirety of the Let's Play. So, yeah, for the most part, we're going to have to show these stage by stage. Even then, though, first we're going to be showcasing is Battlefield, the the special stages version. So, for the most part, it plays exactly very similar to how it does it in the original version of the Battlefield. But you probably noticed the background theme is actually a lot more different compared to how it does it for these little random color texture from if you're trying to revisit to classic mode, adventure mode, and even all-star mode as a result too. But even then though, it gets more likely just purple and blue type of background, and then there are some occasional moments in these different backgrounds once you actually just play this stage even longer enough. So, as far as memory is concerned, that's all there is to know. Now, as far as the actual unlocking method of some of these stages, like for instance, Brimstar Depths, Foresight, and Big Blue, Poke Floats, Mushroom Kingdom 2, and there's also Flat Zone, and I'm assuming there's also Battlefield, as we mentioned earlier, Final Destination, Dreamland from the N64 counterpart, and especially Yoshi's Island N64 version, and also not to mention there was a Congo Jungle 64 as well. So even then though, there are a crap ton of like unlockables you can actually just about to unlock throughout the entire game has to offer. Like, seriously, there's a lot of stuff you can actually influenced by it, and as a result though, as we mentioned earlier, that this game has a higher amount of replay value when it comes to this particular situations like this. And even then though, that in addition to, as we mentioned earlier about these unlockable characters and stuff, there's also some main focus of collectible stuff, and that was the form of the trophies. Now you probably already noticed by now that the trophies are essentially the the reasonable collectible items from how this game offers. And even then though, that we'll go for that until we actually get into the actual extra stages though first, before we actually get into some other stuff. So, for the most part, the Battlefield plays exactly like how it does it from the other stages, most likely the original Super Smash Bros. N64 version. So that's the side of things. And then yeah, so. And even then, though, as we mentioned earlier, that in order to actually unlock some of these stages, though, however, they'll briefly go down through. Actually, let's go ahead and pick one of those specific Super Smash Bros. Melee introduced characters for these particular matches and somewhat. Although sometimes we're gonna have to like bring up. There's only like 4 stages we're gonna be showcased throughout this Let's Play, because Even then, though, aside of that, though, however, we pretty much showcased every single stage how this game offers. But even then, though, that there are, although I would say Battlefield for the special stages version does attempt to count. Oh god, you gotta be kidding me. The gold team was actually throwing a Pokeball. That's just rather lame, honestly. So anyway, though, as far as Super Smash Bros. Melee is concerned, this was without a doubt one of the best multiplayer experiences for the Nintendo GameCube has to offer. Alongside with this was before when Mario Kart Double Dash, and also there was Mario Party 4, Mario Party 5, Mario Party 6, Mario Party 7, Mario Smash Football, Mario Power Tennis, and even Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, and especially Sonic Heroes. Although despite the Shadow the Hedgehog has pretty much a bare bones multiplayer though. And also there is what else is on here from multiplayer standpoint? Oh, there is Super Monkey Ball 1 and Super Monkey Ball 2, and I'm pretty sure Super Monkey Ball Adventure, which is a little bit of a redundancy, but still. But anyway though, so the reason why I love the reason why essentially I really adored the multiplayer experiences for Super Smash Bros. Melee is that for one, that this game has a ton of variations of melee modes, but we'll explain more on that later. But even though that we already mentioned about the one of the unlockable stages, the Brimstone of Death, is by basically playing through 50 matches in the versus mode. In order to actually unlock Foresight, you need to actually play through 100 matches and stuff. Big Blue, you have to play through 150 matches from these versus matches. Pokeflows is basically you're gonna have to play through 200 matches, which sometimes it might be a little bit longer to actually just get towards it. But apart from that though, if you play Melee for quite enough times, if you actually been playing this on multiplayer experience, what I highly recommend, then you should be able to have some experiences to actually get yourself that particular unlockable stage. And then, as we mentioned earlier, in order to actually unlock Mushroom Kingdom 2, you have to actually obtain the Bodo Trophy, because if you do, then you should be able to get it. In order to actually unlock Dreamland 64 is by basically going through all the target test levels within all 25 characters, so it's pretty self-explanatory kind of thing about it. And then, in order to actually unlock past stage called Congo Jungle 64, you must able to be sure you need to reach up to, or if you're actually trying to complete 15-minute melee. So in this case, the melee mode. So even then, though, that if you're actually trying to actually survive for under like even for 15 minutes or so, then you should be able to clarify you could able to unlock Congo Jungle 64. What we've noticed is that the N64 past stages essentially feels more likely exactly the same thing as it does for the original version, for what I remember though anyway, which is pretty cool if you ask me, which is pretty standable, and then plus it's quite cool to actually plays out very similar to how it does in the original versions from back in the N64 era, so pretty amazing kind of thing about it. And then also there's a stage from Yoshi's Island 64 where we're playing right now. In order to actually unlock that, you must able to hit into Home Run Contest. Now I highly recommend you, I think you should be able to play as Yoshi, I highly recommend, we'll explain more on that until we actually get into that mode. But basically what you have to do in order to actually unlock this stage, as you can see on screen, is by basically going to go through 113 or 1,300 feet from North American version, or 400 meters in the PAL version, in order to actually get yourselves this particular stage. But again, it's only for the Home Run Contest in order to actually be successful this. So in order to unlock Battlefield, the special stages version is the fact that you obviously have to complete just All-Star mode with any character, so that's all there is to know. And then also, in order to actually unlock the Final Destination stage, you must able to complete event number 51, which is the finale event. But even then though, we'll explain more now since we actually get into the event matches and briefly showcase for that. And then finally, the Flat Zone stage, in order to actually unlock that, is by basically completing classic mode as Mr. Game & Watch. But even then, that's as far as memories goes for the stages unlockable methods. And that's all there is to know. So yeah, not too bad though, honestly, for unlocking methods and stuff like that. Although the only time I might find is a little bit difficult to actually unlock stages is from N64's Yoshi's Island. But even then, we'll explain more on that as soon as we actually trying to actually clarify for when we actually get into the actual home run contest menu. So now we're going to be just to be clarified that we can actually just be the tough beasts versus the the tough mans, tough mans and the beasts characters. Well, I would say by that, mind you, but anyway, so since this is going to be the finale of this game's Let's Play, but even Nendo decided that though, that yeah, this is pretty much the funnest mode I actually had to confess to for myself. And even then though, that what's really weird I found for my part is the fact that I found to realize that you can actually perform a C-stick smash attacks or quick attacks while actually doing some things more likely than not. Although there are some situations in Training Classic mode, or even Adventure mode for that matter, there's the fact that, or even All-Star as a result though, is that it always seems to make me think that we're gonna have to rotate the camera, like zoom in and zoom out. But the only noticeable exceptions is these multiplayer experience during this particular mode. Because after all, when you're actually trying to use the C stick, you remember how when we actually get into Super Smash Bros. Brawl that we can actually get ourselves the ability to do quick hits and all that? It turns out we were completely wrong, because after all, when we actually just about to explore the the melee modes, basically that's you can actually perform a quick smash attacks while using it flicking the C stick, which is pretty handy. So yeah. But even then though, that was before when Super Smash Bros. Brawl came around, and even Super Smash Bros. 4 came around as well, so... But again, I have a lot of fun playing for this game, I have to say. But even then, there are some situations that we have some trial and error annoyances, like some, as you probably have guys already mentioned about the Mr. Game & Watch's run-through of Adventure mode, that, dear lord, there are too many bombs on screen, which is pretty predictable for my liking, but anyway. We'll let Ganondorf win on that. So 2 on 4. So yeah, when it comes to computer opponents, it's victories and our winnings department. So yeah, that's all I can say about Melee though, honestly. So even then though, you can actually set to stock matches, or even the time matches, and even Team Battle makes a return from the original game as well. So you can switch between red, green, and blue. But even then though, until when it gets to Super Smash Bros. 4, that thing starts to get a little bit more drastically different than that. So we'll explain more analysis when some other toys are going to tackle for that game. And also that this is actually the introduction to the events matches, as we mentioned earlier. There are a grand total of 51 events, or at least if you're actually just about to trying to do the whole entire mode of it. Like even then though, we're going to be showing in case there are quite a few missions though actually. Like some events like Seconds Anyone, what basically we have to do is basically just beat the likes out of Captain Falcon in about roughly 7 seconds. So pretty easy though. And also some other events such as like mainly the All-Star matches, like you're gonna have to basically run through those opponents that you've already unlocked throughout this entire game. And by the way though, if you actually be curious to actually get trying to anticipation for unlocking all these events, in order to actually unlock all these events though, when it ranging through well, you get the first 10 right from the get-go, but if you're actually trying to unlock more events, in order to actually unlock all these events though, however, you need to actually be sure you need to get all the characters on screen. But if you do though, however, if you actually get up to all 50 of these events, you should be able to reach up to, well, if you're trying to actually trying to go off a bit, trying to complete them. If you do manage to complete all 50 of these events, regular events I should say, you can agree to access to the final event in the entire game, known as the Showdown, which basically, that all you can do in this particular event is pretty simple, even though this is actually the final fight in the game. It's quite tough though too, because in order to actually just try and success to doing this, is that obviously you're gonna have to deal with Giga Bowser from the start. And also you're gonna have to deal with Mewtwo and Ganondorf at the same time. But even then though, I think Jigglypuff, when it comes to the rest ability, this is the perfect example when you're actually trying to kick out Giga Bowser easier, which is probably the more predictions of how oh god, we get butt kicked by Mewtwo or something like that. But anyway though, so Yeah, for the most part though, that it takes a lot of patience on this particular event, because this is by far the hardest event in the entire game. Although, we won't say that much, because even then though, there is one predictable event that we find that's really tough in this game. Although, granted though, that I highly recommend you trying to do, you know, the NB attack, which is the rest ability for Jigglypuff, even for especially noticeable for, well, Giga Bowser. But the only two exceptions, though, however, is both Ganondorf and Mewtwo, because, man, these opponents doing really good in this event. So, but even then, it took a lot of patience to actually get through all that. But unfortunately, though, since this is actually this particular recording session, we actually did fail that by random aspects, more likely too much damage outputs, and even then, though, that there's also a rematch of variations of the Monster Hand and Crazy Hands there as well from Monster Hand, no, not Monster Hand, the Final Destination match, which the only difference between the classic emotive variation of this particular duo match is the fact that you don't actually trying to get to the cut to the chase when Monster Hand gets 150 health though, however. Instead, you can actually just try to actually fight these two duos from the beginning part. So, this is pretty tough though, but even then though, as long as you actually try to actually, even though granted though, we did manage to fail on that easily though. But even then though, that there was this one particular mission that we always seem to have a lot of trouble with, and that was the form of time for a checkup. Like, every time when you see this little description underneath the high score system, that it shows about how much time you beat, how much KOs you've actually KO'd in, like some specific events that you're actually trying to deal with, and also the descriptions about the missions themselves, and also there it shows up what specific characters you're going to be using. So even then though, that there are some events that are more likely to be always seem to require select the characters, but most of the time it's always have to be involving some specific character's usage. So take this event for example, that you always have to require using Luigi, and basically that in order to actually just complete this event is by basically kick the likes of Dr. Mario and even Peach as a result, but even then though, this event is pretty tough though, but luckily for us though, we managed to do it for a first attempt for actually doing this recording session. Now, originally we're going to do the events matches in this particular run through, but there are some events that are really damn difficult, even for the later ones, even at halfway points as a result too. But even then though, this game doesn't have a difficulty select until when it gets to Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and even Super Smash Bros. 4 when it comes to events-wise. So, yeah, for the most part, that's all there is to know with the events matches. So, as you expected by now, that you're actually going to be fully experienced at how, again, in order to actually get all 51 events, if you will, well, specifically if you reach up to events 40 and 50, good luck for actually trying to do that, because even then though, you probably ended up having a long time just actually trying to, again, unlocking Mewtwo to begin with, because he is by far the most longest character in order to actually try to unlock him, which is pretty understandable for a lot of audience, and especially noticeable and stuff like that. So, next we have to showcase is the home run contest, which is all this is basically we're gonna have to constantly beat the likes out of this pretty stable character into the series though, but even then though, he doesn't do anything besides standing there. But that's just besides this, the entire item, which is basically known as Sandbag, which basically, if you're trying to beat the likes out of him, although before when, this was before when Brawl came around, whenever they're trying to obtain those prizes, even Super Smash Bros. 4 as well. But even then, what Sandbag can do is by basically, if you're trying to instantly trying to attack him, like, take Yoshi for example, that I highly recommend to you, is the fact that you can actually try to carefully time your jumps and what have you, just trying to actually, do a rapid kick on him. So even then though, if you're trying to perform itself well enough, then the more damage you take. So even then though, that, yeah, before Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and even Super Smash Bros. 4 for that matter, it starts to actually add in some of the shield ability. Like, every time when you're actually trying to we beat our new record right here. That's actually pretty impressive. But anyway though, so the more the damage you take for the Sandbag, then you probably should able to guarantee that you can actually, just to clarify, for the higher the launch yield can get. So it's more simple stuff though, really. So even then though, that you always do get a home run bat from the get-go from the far left if you're actually trying to use that for curiosity's sake. So that's how those usually this goes. So yeah, pretty fun though for home run contest to begin with. But even then though, it gets like a test of patience and all that kind of stuff. Now we're moving on into multi-man melee, which is pretty much a stable mode until when we get to the point where we're gonna have to fight against with these wire-framed shadows. But even then though, that after when you take down these you know, the wire-frame fighters, then it seems more likely you get a completionist. So there are 6 different types of modes you can play through for multi-man melee. There's 10-man melee, which is pretty straightforward. Just knock these 10 fighters down. And then 100-man melee is the same thing, but except it's in 100. And then that way you can actually unlock Falco on that particular mode of 100-man melee. 3-minute melee is basically you're gonna have to like do a endurance run where you can actually just try to actually see how much KOs that you can actually just to perform itself when you actually have 3-minute mark. Now, 15-minute mark is pretty similar to the 3-minute mark, except the fact that it's actually a bit longer. And then also, this is a way you can actually unlock Congo Jungle 64, though. Endless Melee is basically the endurance run-through of the particular how much KOs you can actually just rank up with on that particular mode. Now, the Cruel Melee, however, this is by far the hardest mode in the entirety of the multi-man melee from. Not to mention that these opponents kept kicking your butt every now and then, but also the fact that in order to actually just trying to actually get some KOs with these guys, even though they actually kind of tough, is the fact that they are no items or even healing items. So instead, they actually trying to go outright against you, and that's all there is to know. So yeah, there's no way we can actually get ourselves the you know, just one singular KO from that particular Cruel Melee though, however. Until when it gets to Super Smash Bros. Brawl, even Super Smash Bros. 4, they start to actually just requires you to go to the Cruel mode, Cruel versions of the multi-man serious fighters when we actually get into those. So, anyway though. So as we mentioned earlier, that this game's main focus with collectibles and what have you is the trophies. And basically, that every time we actually trying to complete certain things, like the single-player campaigns of these specific stuff, even for the occasional special conditions that you can actually just about to accomplish with. So even then though, you can actually just to see the actual trophies themselves, including the legendary Giga Bowser. So as far as memory is usually concerned for this particular creepy-looking figure, and there's also a Monster Hand trophy, and there's also a Crazy Hand trophy over there, as well as some bunch of familiar items from the other Super Smash Bros. Games, more likely the N64 installment, and there's also some bunch of items, if you probably can tell from usage of these this particular title. And also showcase the entire trophies from other Nintendo franchises on that as well, like the Mario series, the Legend of Zelda series, and there's also the Star Fox series, Kirby games, and even the Donkey Kong Country type of games, and it's especially noticeable in the Pokemon franchise, and even Fire Emblem games. And there's also some bunch of retro games here and there, like for instance, Ice Climbers will first exist in obviously the Ice Climber game, and also there's other emphasis on there are some occasional moments where you can actually just try to look up at some of the descriptions and stuff like that to see how this trophy is actually present out from this particular stuff. Now, if you ever played the North American version of Super Smash Bros. Melee, or we'll get to that in a moment, but if you couldn't tell already, that it shows that these other specific characters' first appearance from. Like for instance, Mew's first appearance was actually in Pokemon Red and Blue from the Game Boy. But even then though, it doesn't show the actual release date on that, unfortunately. There's also some bunch of new additions, like the Generation 2 Pokemons this time around. But even then though, there's also the legendary Celebi right here. Now, if you're actually trying to look closely onto the trophy itself is by basically clicking the A button and all that into your GameCube controller, and what you can do with this is the fact that you can actually try to move the C stick in order to actually rotate the trophy around, and also you can actually zoom in and zoom out the trophy and all what have you, while simply just actually using the control stick up and down. And also you can actually change the lighting of while using the start button. And also, I think this is actually more likely to be the X and Y as well, I'm presuming. So, yeah. So yeah, that's all there is to know, basically, when it comes to that part and all that. But, yeah, pretty much standard stuff, though, really. So, now, as far as if you actually can tell already, that the reason why we actually got ourselves a constant fight between Giga Bowser during the adventure mode, in order to actually just try to actually accept the challenge, is the fact that when you're actually trying to get into the adventure mode, and you must able to be completed on normal or higher in under 18 minutes or less, which is pretty much understandable for when it comes to actually dealing with that method, which yeah, that's all there is to know when it comes to that, though, however. But even then, though, despite the, you know, that how, you're gonna be really fast on that particular part, but even then, though, if you're actually trying to perform that well enough, then you should be able to be just as that, so... Yeah, there's also some bunch of trophies here and there from, such as, like, the, familiar, vehicles, and even some of the, characters from, you know, other franchises and all that kinds of stuff. Or there's that UFO from Earthbound, which was not released in Europe. But even then, though, luckily for North America, that actually got this. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. You can actually just have a brief look at this particular trophy from that Game & Watch console right there, which is pretty handy, or even awesome at the same time. I think this particular item also makes an appearance in Pikmin 2 as far as the actual the treasure itself, which I think is pretty cool reference in there as well. Even then, there's also a bunch of trophies, like some stage trophies, like Battlefield, and even Final Destination as a result as well. And there's also some enemy trophies, like Koopas and Goombas and all that kinds of stuff. This is pretty staple to the series, even for the rare trophies like Raccoon Mario from Super Mario Bros. 3, and also Mario Yoshi, the Melee skin from, for some reason, from Super Mario World. Even Paper Mario from the Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64, because usually this game came out after the event, after Paper Mario. Anyway though, so there's the Daisy Trophy, which that's heavily borrowed from Mario Party 3. There's also a Waluigi Trophy right over there, where Waluigi, before when Super Smash Bros. Brawl came around, and even Super Smash Bros. 4, he'll become an instant trophy on that. And there's also Koopa Clown cards and all that kinds of stuff. Yeah, you get these very familiar trophies from the other Nintendo franchises as far as this is concerned. There are some trophies that are consistently, some of them exist. But even then, that according to the actual text box underneath the information, but we'll get into that in a moment. Ooh, there's Merlin from The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, the original and the Link's Awakening DX version, which was pretty understandable, but hey, pretty cool though nonetheless. Now, if you ever played this game on the North American version, it actually tells you the release dates of how these games actually came out of. Well, unlike in Europe, that doesn't actually showcase some of this stuff that is actually being showcase the actual release dates from that yet. So, pretty understandable, but sometimes though that it always seems to happen on most different cases, scenarios. So. Yeah, that's all there is to know when it comes to this particular trophies and stuff like that. There's also some Earthbound trophies, which again never came out in Europe, but it wasn't until that again, 2013 Wii U owners that actually finally obtained that particular game in the Wii U's Virtual Console version, which is pretty cool for my recommendation. So. There's also some trophies that existence from the some Japanese exclusive titles and stuff like that. Oh, this is a part I was still trying to talk about. You see these little familiar characters, Tom Hanks and Todoroki. These first appearances are from Animal Crossing, and since the Super Smash Bros. Melee came around in 2002, while Animal Crossing for the GameCube was released in 2003, that game has a potential for future releases on there. Same goes for applies to Roy as well. There's Vacuum Luigi from Luigi's Mansion over here. But even then, though, I'm pretty sure Luigi needs to carry on doing Luigi's Mansion kind of thing about it, because he has been held up for so long. And there's also some bunch of trophies over there, like Pikmin and Captain Olimar, which is around that same time as when Pikmin game came around, because even then Pikmin, the first Pikmin game anyway, and as well as Luigi's Mansion, and yeah, and that's all there is to know, is the fact that they actually released as a launch title with, so yeah. other trophies such as like Discom from the mascot of the Famicom Disk System, only for Japan either way. And there's also the glorious Nintendo GameCube from the Nintendo GameCube hardware. Even then, depends on what countries you lived in. Like, for instance, we're in the PAL version that it says May 2002, which is the console's release on the PAL versions. And I believe in the North American version, it shows it says more likely November 2001 or something. So yeah. There's also a lottery right over there, so you can actually spend your you can also spend your coins to actually just about to spend some of the coins to you to actually get some more trophies in. So even then though, if you couldn't tell already, that we actually already got all the trophies in the game, because even though right now that says 0% chance, because even then though, when you first time playing your game for Super Smash Bros. Melee, even if you're a fresh file, that says like a new trophy chance, and if it says more likely 99.9% chance, this means you get yourselves a fresh and new trophy you can actually obtain. So, and after that though, we can actually see the entire collection of these trophies. And I think there are a grand total of 292, which is quite a lot of trophies, I have to say. Which again, it will actually increase even a bit more until we actually get into the future installments, most likely Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and even Super Smash Bros. 4 as well. So, and what makes this room so interesting is the fact that they actually bring back some of these little cameo appearances. You see that little familiar console to you? That is actually Nintendo 64 in the background, alongside with the North American version copy of Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 64, which makes perfect sense, because even then though, that usually that Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 64 was actually the first ever Super Smash Bros. Game to came out on for the entire franchise. Also, this very, very big TV which says Hell Laboratory, which has the exact same development team from the actual Kirby games and all that kinds of stuff, and that's actually how this goes. And also Nintendo Entertainment System over there, and a somewhat familiar guide here, and as well as the Game Boy Advance, and a Nintendo GameCube obviously. And also the Game Boy Pocket, but I say Pocket because that's how it usually looks like. And there's also the Super Nintendo, which for some strange reason it just puts in a customizable made Super Smash Bros. Cartridge on there, which I don't see what's the point. But it depends if you're actually going to be getting this for Japan for Super Smash Bros. Melee, aka Smash Bros. Deluxe. If you actually be playing this game on Japan's release date, that way you can actually just see the difference between the consoles and all that, which it showcased Smash Bros. For the 64 as a Japanese title and all that. And there's also the, what do I recall? The Famicom, just the Famicom itself. Which that's the only time you can actually see these between these two consoles in a Japanese version of Super Smash Bros. Melee. So yeah, and as you expected from the extras, or in this case the options menu, it just shows the change of the settings you want to actually incorporate with. There's also a special mode, which this means it gives you some specific notifications how well you did, and as well as the snapshots. Like for instance, if you actually select in camera mode, although we'll get into that as soon as we actually finish the project over with. So yeah, as we mentioned earlier, there are some plenty of modes that on the Melee mode has to offer. Like there's the tournament mode, which is basically just a standard tournament mode for you go 5x5, and that's all there is to know. And there's also Special Melee, which actually contains about roughly 10 different variations of Melees. There's a camera mode, which basically this allows you to actually hook up to your 4th controller slot for the camera mode, so you can take control of your camera and just snap some snapshots. This was before when Super Smash Bros. Brawl and Super Smash Bros. 4 did that as a the actual thing itself. So you can actually save this your screenshots for your memory cards. So even then, it's entirely up to you. And there's also Stamina mode and Super Sudden Death mode, which perhaps is probably one of my favorite modes in the entirety of Special Melee. And there's also we'll get into these two modes later, but for now, we'll discuss more on some other modes, like Giant Melee, which basically everything else depends on what opponents you'll be using. Everything's all giant and huge. And also the Tiny Melee, which everything else is in tiny. And Fixed Camera mode, which is basically doing the entire arena, but in fixed camera precision, which I don't see the point about that particular mode. honestly. And there's also a single button mode, which only you can do is basically just, you're gonna only use the, just only one button to your disposal once you actually perform it. And that's all there is to know. Kind of pointless for me anyway. And also there's actually the faster, fast mode variation of this particular special melee, which everything goes zipping through fast. And then slow-mo melee is basically everything goes slowly. So yeah, that's all there is to know when it comes to that though. So you can still, like, as far as the actual melee mode is concerned. Oh yeah, before we actually get into that, actually, that's what stamina can actually do is the fact that you can actually take down. Think of like the other fighting games you've already previously played. Back in the old days and stuff like that. As you can tell, that in order to actually win this particular matches is the fact that you need to actually let all these opponents get all the way down to 0 health. So you start off with 150 HP, and then next thing you know, if you actually get butt kicked by single things a lot, then it should be able to clarify you can actually just beat them down by the likes of 0 HP left. So yeah. And there's also the super sudden death mode, which I think is actually one of the probably the mode I actually play the most. Because not to mention though that even though we haven't showcased the actual sudden death mode, what have you, we even don't know what that actually does is the fact that everything else or every opponent do have 300% meter on our hands. And basically, every time you get hit, or even some certain attacks and what have you, any sort of attacks for that matter, everything else flies off on screen. So yeah, I found that to be quite a fun experience for me, because sometimes that I always get butt kicked by these certain amount of opponents, and there's also some other emphasis like there's some again, as I explained earlier, that of all the multiplayer games on the Nintendo GameCube so far, Super Smash Bros. Melee is definitely my favorite highlight of this game, especially noticeable if you're actually trying to play this with 3 with your friends, even for a 4-player multiplayer experience though. We even then though, I had a lot of fun time with this actually, so even then though, there are some chaotic moments here and there and stuff like that, so I guess we'll actually explain off the one more thing before we actually close this Let's Play off, is the fact that you can actually just tell there are stock matches makes a return from the original game, as well as the time-based matches and melee and stuff, which is pretty self-explanatory. And there's also the coin match battles, which basically a new addition to the random matches scenario, where basically every time when you're trying to hit these opponents and stuff, they usually send out some coins, and whoever gets the most coins is the winner. I don't know about the bonus mode though, however, because I've not touched the bonus mode for a longer time, so there's nothing I can comment on that. So yeah, I guess that was, I think that's all I can say about Super Smash Bros. Melee, honestly. Well, besides the fact that the training mode actually makes a return though, however, so it's pretty self-explanatory, so yeah. So yeah, that was about it for Let's Play of Super Smash Bros. Melee. So I think that wraps everything up in this entire Let's Play. So overall, Super Smash Bros. Melee, this is actually a really fun game for the Nintendo GameCube, even for one of my favorite Nintendo GameCube titles I've ever played. Really, that's all there is to say. Not too negative things though, however. Well, besides the point, the unlocking Mewtwo was a bit of a pain thing to deal with. But apart from those side of things, besides the camera mode, it's a little bit too finicky. But apart from that, though, I had a lot of fun with this game. So yeah, this is me, Mickey Mouse, and Piglet here. And the next up for the Super Smash Bros. Let's Plays department, as we mentioned this briefly amount of times, Super Smash Bros. Brawl. So even then, though, I hope you guys do have fun time on that one. So yeah, see you guys then. Bye.